All right, let's dive in. We're doing a deep dive today on something you sent over. It's the AI News newsletter that keeps you in the loop about, well, AI stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It pulls together the big AI discussions from all over, like Twitter, Reddit, even Discord.
Yeah, it's a real time saver. AI News says you saved like 327 minutes just by reading their summary. That's a lot of time.
It is.
All right, so this is for the week of January 15th to 17th. What really jumped out at you?
Well, first off, AI is just moving so fast. There are new models coming out all the time, and this week is no different.
Like what? Give us the highlights.
Okay, so there's OutTTS 0.3. It comes in 1 billion and 500 million parameter versions. This text-speech model is amazing. It can clone voices, handle different languages, even control emotions.
Whoa, wait. Voice cloning and emotion control. That sounds like science fiction.
It really does. And then there's the Heisho Foundation model. This one's all about motor control for robotics. It's a 1.5 million parameter network trained using human motion capture data. The goal is to make robots that can move with, like, really amazing agility.
So robots doing parkour. I'm not sure if I should be excited or scared.
Right. Let's move on to some of the new AI tools and products. There's one called Kokoro.js. This is exciting because it lets you run AI models right in your browser.
No need for servers or anything. That's a game changer. AI for everyone.
Exactly. And then there's Moondream. They've got these stickers at Walmart, and they just added vision support for their small agents. That means they can now use APIs like GPT-4o and all kinds of Hugging Face transformers, the vision language models, I mean.
Okay, hold on. Back up a sec. What are small agents and what does all that other stuff mean?
Okay, so small agents are basically AI agents that can now see and process images. They're becoming more versatile and capable. And those APIs and LMs I mentioned, those are basically tools and models that let developers build really sophisticated AI applications.
So it's all about making AI more powerful and accessible, right?
Exactly. And the big companies are all over this. Meta, for example, is giving out $200,000 in grants for research on evaluating large language models, LLMs for short. They're really interested in regional language understanding, complex reasoning, and interactive programming.
So they're making sure these LLMs are powerful but also safe and reliable, right?
Mm.
Especially when they're working with different languages and, really complicated tasks.
Exactly. And then there's some news about Stability AI. Their Twitter account got hacked. It's a reminder that even in the AI world, cybersecurity is still a big deal.
Definitely. It's easy to get caught up in the new stuff and forget about the basics.
So true. Now let's check out what's been happening on Reddit. Google has this new Titans model, and it's causing a lot of buzz. It's built on neural memory, which means it can handle long-term dependencies way better.
So AI that remembers things better and for longer, that's a big deal.
It is. People are saying it could even be better than transformer models, because it mimics human memory and it lets you have larger context windows.
Okay, what else is the Reddit crowd excited about?
Well, there's Umbrella. It lets you run those huge language models, the Llama 3.37D ones, on regular GPUs. So you don't need a supercomputer anymore.
Making AI accessible. I like it. What else?
There's Wayfarer, which is an AI for AI Dungeon, which is this text-based adventure game. What's cool about Wayfarer is that it's designed to be tough. You can actually fail or even die in the game.
Wait, so they're making the AI harder to beat. Why?
A lot of players were getting frustrated because the AI was too easy. They wanted a more challenging and realistic experience.
That makes sense. So AI is learning how to make games more fun.
Yeah, and there's also meta prompts, which is this cool concept where you use structured prompts to make LLMs even better. You're basically giving the AI more specific instructions so it can do more complex things.
So instead of just asking a simple question, you're giving the AI like a whole plan to follow.
Exactly. Imagine using AI as like a project manager or even a software developer. You could guide it to break down a complex project into manageable chunks.
Okay, that sounds really futuristic. It feels like the way we work and use technology is about to change in a big way.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about Discord. The AI tools world is booming over there. There's this new tool called Cursor, and it just got a whopping $105 million in funding. It's for generating code. But there's a little problem.
Oh no, what happened?
It seems like even with all that money, they're having some performance issues. Scaling these AI tools is still a big challenge.
So it's one thing to have a cool idea, but making it work reliably for lots of people is tough.
Yeah, it's a different beast. What else? Well, Codium, another code generation tool, has had some outages recently. And, they've been releasing a lot of new stuff too, which is interesting. It's sparked a lot of debate about how well it stacks up against other tools like GitHub Copilot, which is owned by Microsoft.
So it's like a code off in the Wild West of AI coding tools.
You could say that. And on top of that, everyone on Discord is talking about Google's Titans architecture too. People are wondering if it's going to be even better than GPT-4, which is like the top dog right now.
So it sounds like a lot of competition, which is probably good for AI in the long run, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's not all about big companies and huge models. There's cool stuff happening with smaller projects too, like a modded Nano GPT just broke the speed record for training.
Oh, wow. How fast are we talking?
They trained it in 3.17 minutes. It's amazing what people can do, even without a ton of resources.
That's crazy. But all this talk about bigger, faster models makes you think about the ethics, right?
Mm.
Are people worried about how AI might be used?
Yeah, definitely. The more powerful AI gets, the more important the ethical questions become. One of the big discussions right now is about data privacy. OpenAI, the folks behind ChatGPT, just changed their data policy to opt in.
So they're being more transparent about how they use data
Oh,
and giving people more control. That's
yeah.
good.
It's a step in the right direction, for sure. But then there's this whole thing about the DMCA takedown of the math dataset. People are worried about open access to resources for AI research. If things get locked down, it could slow down progress.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a balancing act between protecting intellectual property and letting people collaborate openly.
Exactly. And it's going to be an ongoing discussion as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives.
So it seems like we've got all these new models, tools, platforms. It's a lot to take in. But what does it all mean for regular people? How's this going to affect our lives?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, one thing's clear. AI is not just something in labs or sci-fi movies anymore. It's becoming part of our everyday lives, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, but it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, where do you even start to understand it all?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember that AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or bad things. The more we understand how it works, the better we'll be able to use it wisely.
Right, so instead of worrying about AI taking over the world, we should be thinking about how to use it to make things better.
Exactly. For example, in coding, there's a ton of excitement and debate about AI coding tools. These platforms like Codium, GitHub, Copilot, and Cursor are becoming super advanced, and developers are figuring out where they fit in.
Are we talking about AI that can actually write code by itself? Or is it more like helping human programmers?
It's kind of both. Some of these tools are amazing at generating code snippets and suggestions, but there's still a lot of debate about whether AI will ever completely replace human programmers.
It sounds like we're moving toward this new way of working where humans and AI collaborate, like working together to achieve things we couldn't do alone.
Absolutely. And it's not just coding. We're seeing AI being used in everything from healthcare and finance to education and entertainment.
Wow, it really feels like a technological revolution happening all around us. But with all that, we can't forget that AI is a reflection of us, right? We created it, and it's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly.
I totally agree. We need to be talking about the risks and benefits of AI and how it's affecting our society.
It's a lot to think about. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to what's happening in the AI world.
Okay, before we move on, I want to go back to some of those interesting little details from the AI news summary. They really show the human side of AI.
You mean the stories and stuff that show how hard it is to build these systems, but also the successes?
Yeah, like that story about the Cursor user who got stuck in that loop of doom, even though the company has all that funding. It shows that even with money, things can go wrong, and good customer support is so important.
And it shows that AI development is still messy. It's not all perfect breakthroughs. There are bumps along the way.
Right. And then there was that Codium thing where they canceled a user's account after a refund dispute. It makes you think about fairness and transparency when it comes to AI services.
As we rely more and more on these AI tools, we need to make sure people are treated fairly and their concerns are taken seriously.
For sure, building trust is key, especially with something as powerful as AI.
But on a more positive note, that modded Nano GPT trained in 3 minutes is still blowing my mind.
It really shows how creative and dedicated these researchers are. Who knows what they'll come up with next?
And speaking of pushing limits, that OpenAI researcher who talked about AI self-improving in an unhackable box, that was intense.
It's a mind-bending idea. AI designing and improving itself. It makes you question what intelligence and control will look like in the future.
It sounds like science fiction, but it could be real sooner than we think.
Right, and then those rumors about OpenAI spending $7 billion on Azure and training. Crazy, right?
That's an insane amount of money. Shows how serious they are about AI.
It tells you that AI is a big deal now. It's a force that's shaping the world in huge ways.
So, with all this going on, what's the main thing you hope our listeners taking away from this deep dive into AI?
Well, I think the big thing is that, AI is already here. It's changing things in ways we don't even fully get yet. It's not just some far-off thing. It's affecting us right now, like in the tools we use and even the decisions being made around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's moving so fast, what we see now is just the beginning. The real question is, how do we, get ready for a future where AI is even more integrated into everything?
So what do we do? Should everyone go out and learn to code AI models?
I don't think that's necessary, It's more about understanding the basics, like how AI works and how it's being used. It's kind of like learning a new language. You don't have to be a poet to appreciate how powerful language is.
It's a good way to put it. It makes it seem less intimidating. It's not about becoming an AI expert overnight. It's about being able to understand this new world we're in.
Exactly. And the good news is there are so many ways to learn about AI now. Online courses, podcasts like this one. I feel like this deep dive has definitely helped me understand the key ideas and what's happening. I used to feel lost in all the technical jargon, but now I feel like I can actually talk about AI without getting a headache.
That's what we're going for, making
Yeah.
these complex topics easier to understand.
I'm not saying I'm going to build my own AI anytime soon, but I definitely feel more confident about, understanding all this.
And that's a great first step. The more people who understand AI, the better choices we can make as a society about how to develop and use it.
Right. It's not just about the tech itself, but the ethical side of things, the impact on society. We need to be talking about these things now so we make sure AI is used for good, not for creating more problems.
Couldn't agree more. That's a great point to wrap things up, I think. As you keep learning about AI, just remember it's a journey. There's always something new to discover.
This AI News newsletter has been great for keeping up with what's happening. I definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to stay in the loop about AI.
And remember, the future of AI is being shaped right now. By staying informed, we can all be part of making sure it's a good future.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. It's been fascinating.
You got it. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.